I feel like I'm getting hammered.
Caitlin Clark spent last season taking cheap shots, getting hacked, and dealing with defenders who thought they could bully their way into stopping her. But guess what? That era is officially over. The Indiana Fever have stacked their roster with not one, not two, but 3 enforcers who won't tolerate any of that nonsense anymore.
So the Indiana Fever have got their enforcer. They have got their enforcer for Caitlin Clark. And I'm not gonna lie, like, when it comes to Caitlin Clark and their enforcer, last year everyone was talking about them needing an enforcer.
Enter Natasha Howard, Sophie Cunningham, and DeWanna Bonner, 3 veteran stars who play with an edge and aren't afraid to get physical. If Clark's haters thought they could keep targeting her with hard fouls and dirty plays, they're about to get a rude awakening. The message is loud and clear. If you come after Clark, you'll have to deal with them first.
The closest thing they had was Erica Wheeler. That was the closest thing they had for someone to defend Caitlin Clark, was Erica freaking Wheeler. Maybe Tammy, but Caitlin Clark was getting hit a lot. She was getting hit a lot early, and they needed their Charles Oakley.
This move isn't just about adding talent. It's about sending a statement. The Fever aren't just here to compete, they're here to dominate. And with these new additions, they've built a squad that can play fast, play tough, and most importantly, protect their star player. Clark's Bullies have officially been put on notice. So, how exactly will these 3 game changers transform the Fever into one of the most dangerous teams in the WNBA? Let's break it down.
Sometimes you need one of those players on your team. You need one of those enforcers. Every good player, by the way. Every good player, every good team that is a super duper star. Most of the time have enforcer type players.
Imagine this. Caitlin Clark, the most electrifying rookie the WNBA has seen in years, steps onto the court for her debut season. The energy is electric, fans are on the edge of their seats, and everyone's expecting her to put on a show. But instead of a smooth welcome into the league, what does she get? Hard fouls, unnecessary contact, and a level of physicality that bordered on outright targeting. What was happening here?
That's all I see. They try so long to get respect for women's basketball, and then they treat it like a junior high school girl's locker room. Junior high school girl antics on the court.
Let's break it down. This wasn't just the typical rookie treatment. Clark was dealing with a level of aggression that went beyond competition. She was constantly being hit with cheap shots, body checks, and fouls that had no place in the game. At times, it felt more like she was stepping into a wrestling ring rather than a basketball court. And here's where it gets shocking. Clark wasn't just another rookie adjusting to physical play, she was singled out. The numbers don't lie. A staggering 17% of all flagrant fouls in the WNBA last season were committed against her. That's not just tough defense. That's a clear indication that players were making it a point to rough her up.
Now, what little girl wants to grow up and play in a league where you're targeted like that? How do you sit here and profess and demand that everyone take women's sports seriously when you can't even take it seriously enough to not act like a junior high queen on the court? It's stupid. That's so dumb. It looks like a soap opera.
And leading the charge? None other than the Chicago Sky. A jaw-dropping 80% of those flagrant fouls against Clark came from one team. That's not just a coincidence, it's a statement. They weren't just trying to defend her, they were trying to send a message. But why? Was it intimidation, frustration, or just an old-school attempt to slow down a rising star? Whatever the reason, it was obvious that Clark's presence was making some players uncomfortable.
Clark! Hammer!
One of the worst examples came courtesy of Angel Reese herself. Picture Clark driving through the lane, eyes locked on the basket, when suddenly, bam, Reese sends her crashing to the floor. The arena went silent. Fans held their breath. Would she get up? The hit was so bad that even commentators started questioning whether it had gone too far. But Clark? She's built different. She dusted herself off, got back to her feet, and kept playing like nothing happened.
I think we went up really strong a lot of times and we didn't get a lot of calls. And going back and looking at the film, I've seen a lot of calls that weren't made. I guess some people got a special whistle.
That's what sets Clark apart, her composure under pressure. While others were debating whether the hits were too much, she kept her focus. Even after taking a blatant cheap shot from Chennedy Carter, Clark's response was simple. That's just not a basketball play, but gotta play through it. No complaints, no retaliation, just the kind of mental toughness that makes legends.
And Clark. I mean, that's clearly a foul, which was called. The question is, will they call it unnecessary? Kennedy Carter.
But while Clark proved she could take the hits, the Fever front office knew they couldn't let her go through another season unprotected. So they made moves, big ones. And with the addition of some serious enforcers, Indiana is making sure that no one is getting away with bullying Clark anymore. Who are these enforcers, and how are they about to change the entire dynamic of the Indiana Fever? Let's dive in.
And Clark.
The signing of Natasha Howard represents a massive step forward for the Indiana Fever and their quest for a championship. In Howard, the Fever gain a three-time WNBA champion, a Defensive Player of the Year, an All-Star, and a veteran with more than 300 games played.
Natasha Howard isn't just another addition to the Indiana Fever. She's the enforcer the team desperately needed. The moment she stepped into that locker room, the message was clear. Caitlin Clark is no longer an easy target. For those who don't know, Howard is a three-time WNBA champion, a former Defensive Player of the Year, and a player with the kind of toughness that changes a team's entire identity. She's not here for gimmicks. She's here to make sure the days of Clark getting bullied on the court are over.
But all of that, and we haven't yet touched upon what Howard does best: defend. Howard was named Defensive Player of the Year in 2019 and has finished in the top 10 of the Defensive Player of the Year voting 3 times in her career. Howard has averaged at least 1 block and 1 steal per game in each of her last 7 seasons. And that versatility is really what makes her a weapon on defense.
Last season, Clark faced relentless physicality from defenders who thought they could rough her up without consequence. But now, those same defenders are going to have to think twice before pulling those same antics. Howard's presence alone is enough to shift the balance of power. Standing next to Clark on the court, she instantly commands respect. But Howard isn't just about enforcing, she's a game changer on both ends of the floor. Last season, she averaged 17.6 points, 6.7 rebounds, and nearly 3 assists per game. That's elite-level production. And the best part? She can stretch the floor. With Howard's ability to hit from beyond the arc, she's going to create even more space for Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, and Aaliyah Boston to operate.
Last season, with a minimum of 25 games played, Natasha Howard was one of just 13 players to average 18 points per game. She was one of 16 players to average 7 rebounds per game. And the list of players to average both 18 and 7 last year, short and elite. Asia Wilson, Brianna Stewart, Nafisa Collier, Brittany Griner, and yes, Natasha Howard.
Defense, though, is where Howard truly shines. There's a reason she won Defensive Player of the Year in 2019. She's a nightmare for opponents trying to score in the paint. She's got length, physicality, and an aggressive style that makes life miserable for anyone trying to challenge her. And when it comes to protecting her teammates, let's just say she's got a history of standing up when it matters most. And here's what might be the most valuable part of Howard's arrival: playoff experience. The Fever are a young squad with plenty of potential, but making deep playoff runs takes a level of composure and leadership that only veterans can provide. Howard has played in over 50 postseason games, and that kind of experience is invaluable. She knows what it takes to win, and she's bringing that mentality to Indiana.
But that wingspan and 6'2" height allows her to be disruptive defensively around the rim on opposing bigs too. In fact, Howard will enter the 2025 season 25th all-time in blocks in WNBA history.
Howard's excitement is just as high as Fever fans. In her own words, "I'm excited to return to Indiana and bring my experience and toughness to the team. I want to help Caitlin and the Fever compete at the highest level." And that's exactly what she's going to do. This move isn't just about protecting Clark, it's about elevating her. Howard knows what it takes to be a champion, and now she's here to show Clark and the Fever how to dominate. With her in the mix, Indiana isn't just fighting back, they're ready to take over.
Caitlin Clark was getting hit a lot. she was getting hit a lot early and they needed their Charles Oakley. You've got that in Sophie Cunningham.
Sophie Cunningham is heading to Indiana, and the WNBA just got a whole lot more interesting. If Caitlin Clark needed someone to keep the Bullies in check while draining threes, she just got her. The Fever weren't just looking for talent this offseason, they were looking for toughness. And in Cunningham, they found both.
There are so many videos of Sophie Cunningham just starting brawls.
Some might be wondering, Sophie Cunningham? Wasn't she supposed to be luring Clark to Phoenix? Turns out, Clark had other plans. Instead of heading west, she made sure Cunningham joined her squad. This wasn't just a random signing, this was strategic. The Fever needed someone who could bring energy, attitude, and relentless toughness, and Cunningham checks all those boxes.
Sophie Cunningham, in general, is just wild. Wild is the best word I can use to describe Sophie Cunningham. And it's carnage. It's carnage a lot of the time when Sophie Cunningham gets involved with anything. The amount of fights that Sophie Cunningham has been involved in is mental.
Let's talk about what makes Cunningham such a perfect fit for Indiana. First off, the shooting. She's not just a tough player, she's an elite marksman from beyond the arc. Last season, she shot 37.8% from deep, and with Clark running the offense, expect that number to go even higher. Imagine defenses trying to guard Clark and Mitchell while Cunningham is spotting up from three. Good luck with that.
If she hits a three, Maisha Hines-Allen fouls her and then tries to step over, and then Sophie Cunningham grabs her leg. Nobody's going near Maisha Hines-Allen, but no, Sophie Cunningham will start the fight. The refs are trying to break it up. None of the Mercury players are going to go near Maisha Hines-Allen. They're scared. She's scared of bejesus out of them. Maisha Hines-Allen is one of the toughest players in this league. Sophie Cunningham going head to head straight with her.
But shooting isn't the only thing Cunningham brings. She's got an edge, a mean streak. She's the type of player who plays through contact, talks her talk, and backs it up. And let's not forget, she's literally a Taekwondo black belt. So for any defenders thinking about getting extra physical with Clark this season, they might want to think twice.
Like Sophie Cunningham, there are so many things where it's like, part of it her fault, part of it not her fault, but she will not back down. She will not back down under any circumstances from anything. And that is what the Indiana Fever need. If somebody hits Caitlin Clark, if somebody does what Victoria Vivians did to Caitlin Clark, it's not going to be Caitlin Clark that's getting involved to be teed up. Sophie Cunningham's in there. You take the technical foul. You take it.
Now, let's break down how this move changes the Fever's lineup. Cunningham steps in as a versatile wing who can shoot, defend, and provide that veteran leadership. She averaged 8.4 points, 3.9 rebounds, and 2.0 assists per game last season. Not superstar numbers, but exactly what Indiana needed. She won't demand the ball, but when she gets it, she'll make defenses pay.
Like Sophie Cunningham is guarding the screen here, and she just takes a hard hit. Nothing major. So she's down. And then, after taking a hard hit, just gets back up and laughs. Gets back up and laughs a bit.
More importantly, Cunningham is the type of player who thrives in high-pressure moments. She's tough, she's experienced, and she doesn't back down from a challenge. Whether it's hitting a clutch three, locking up an opposing guard, or stepping in when things get chippy, she's always ready.
She takes the hard hit and goes down, obviously, gets back up and just laughs. Like, that's a legitimate thing where you're like, okay, yeah, this is a person who is just, like, there is a toughness there with Sophie Cunningham. And, like, she's not scared.
And let's talk about spacing. Cunningham's presence means defenses can't just collapse on Clark and Boston. If teams try to double Clark, Cunningham will be waiting on the perimeter, ready to make them pay. Her ability to stretch the floor is going to make the Fever's offense even more dangerous.
So, yeah, like, a solid signing for what she does on the floor. But, like, be protecting Caitlin Clark type thing.
Of course, the big question is, how will Cunningham's aggressive, hard-nosed style mesh with Clark's finesse? Will she be the enforcer the Fever need to protect their superstar? Or will things get a little too fiery? One thing's for sure, Indiana just got a whole lot tougher, and the rest of the WNBA better take notice.
She's just a smart player. You already see what she's done in her rookie season, and I think she gets the ball to people in the right positions to help them be successful, so that's huge. And I'm hoping that I can give her a little bit more leadership and knowledge for her to understand this league a little bit better. And like I said, when playoffs hit, she'll be ready.
DeWanna Bonner isn't just joining the Indiana Fever to fill a roster spot. She's here to redefine the team's culture, inject championship-level experience, and turn this young squad into a force to be reckoned with. She's already making it clear. The Fever aren't here to be a rebuilding project anymore. They're here to win now. With WNBA championships, multiple All-Star appearances, and a reputation as one of the most versatile forwards in the league, Bonner brings a wealth of experience, leadership, and a mindset that screams dominance.
Our first game in Indiana, we got to get a win.
Now, imagine Bonner stepping onto the court alongside this Fever team. Aaliyah Boston holding down the paint, Caitlin Clark orchestrating the offense, Kelsey Mitchell knocking down shots, and Sophie Cunningham providing that fiery energy. Now add Bonner's elite defense, clutch scoring, and unmatched ability to stretch the floor. This isn't just a small improvement. This is a complete transformation. Bonner's presence shifts Indiana from an exciting young team into a legitimate championship contender.
What excites you the most about this team that you're going to be joining?
I mean, they have dynamic pieces in CC and Kelsey Mitchell and AB, Lexi Hall. I mean, they have a great core, so why not just add to that and try to take us to the next level in the playoffs. They were in first round, and I played against them in the first round. And the way they came back the second game, it just makes you excited to, okay, I want to be a part of that. They didn't lay down and quit. They came back and actually try to beat us early, that next game.
But what truly makes Bonner special isn't just her skill set. It's her investment in her teammates. She's not just signing a contract and going through the motions. She's actively working to elevate Clark, Boston, and Mitchell to new heights. She's already studying their tendencies, breaking down film, and figuring out how to maximize their strengths. That's the difference between a veteran just looking to finish out their career and a leader determined to leave a lasting impact. The Fever had all the pieces. They were just missing that last bit of veteran leadership and toughness to put it all together. And Bonner? She might be the missing piece that finally turns this team into a powerhouse.
Like I said, hopefully I can make her job a little easier and she can make mine a little easier. But I think she's a great person, and we, been kind of connecting here. We had a great workout this morning, and it was fun. She's a fun kid.
And then there's the connection between Bonner and Caitlin Clark. Bonner has played with some of the greatest guards in WNBA history, but she sees something unique in Clark. It's not just her deep-range shooting or her ability to make impossible passes. It's her relentless competitive fire. Clark plays with an edge, a chip on her shoulder, and Bonner respects that. She knows how to push elite players to become even better. And now she's stepping in to guide Clark towards superstardom.
Kind of went on this crazy run, and they were the most well-gelled team at that time. They went from the bottom straight, and they just kept trending. And it was like one of those teams you're like, man, you don't want to really see them in the playoffs. So we got the matchup, and I think our experience helped us very well. But that second game, they came out, and it was like, they just kind of went on this trajectory that was just like on the rise, and it was literally Fever on the rise during right after that All-Star. So that's exciting. That's exciting for me to see, and that kind of helped me with my decision.
Think back to last season. The Fever were constantly knocking on the door of success. They had games where they looked unstoppable, moments where their potential was undeniable. But what they lacked was experience, someone who knows what it takes to win in the postseason, to close out games under pressure, and to lead a team when the stakes are highest. That's exactly what Bonner brings. She's not just excited to play with Clark, she's determined to make her even better.
That experience to a young, maturing team, what can you provide?
I'm hoping that I can provide a little bit of leadership, but I feel like they're a team that last year helped them a lot and understand the dynamics of playoffs. It's a whole different ball game when playoffs come, and I feel like they're a young team, but they're a good team, and hopefully I can just provide the knowledge and explain playoffs to them a little bit better so we can be better prepared and don't get punched in the face the first game. And it's hard to come back when you do that the first game. It's hard to come back and try to win 2 straight against a veteran team. So I think they got it.
So what does Bonner's arrival really mean for Indiana? In one word, everything. For a team still learning how to win, Her playoff experience and championship mentality might be the final piece of the puzzle. She's been through deep playoff battles, she's played under pressure, and now she's bringing all of that to a team on the rise. This is more than just a veteran signing. It's a statement that the Fever are done waiting for the future. The future is now. The Fever just added a proven winner to a roster that was already stacked with young talent. Bonner, Clark, Boston, Mitchell. This isn't just a fun team to watch. This is a team that can go all the way. The only question left is, are you ready for the Indiana Fever show? Because it's coming fast.
Your current team has made some interesting moves the last few days. How do you feel about what your roster suddenly looks like?
I'm excited. Obviously, we made some great moves. I think, Kelly and Amber and the whole, Fever organization are, they're helping us win now. And I think that's really important. I think they're putting really good pieces together that are gonna, complement each other really, really well.
The Indiana Fever just pulled off the ultimate power move, and the entire WNBA is on high alert. They've gone from rebuilding to championship contenders overnight. The days of Caitlin Clark being pushed around? Done. The Bullies who thought they could get away with cheap shots? They're about to have a serious wake-up call. With Natasha Howard, Sophie Cunningham, and DeWanna Bonner bringing their toughness and experience, the Fever now have the perfect mix of skill and grit. Clark has an army behind her, and this squad isn't just looking to compete, they're looking to dominate. The message is clear. Indiana isn't here to play nice, they're here to take over. Are you excited? Let us know in the comments. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.